X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle of the Atom. This is your weekly X-Men podcast where we rank every story from A to Z.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Zach. Hi Adam.
Hey Zach.
How's your week on this Tuesday, the night we always record?
You mean not actually Tuesday, like Friday, the day we don't usually record?
Folks, I had a bit of a work trip this week. I was very tired, and I tried to record with my good buddy in the room at the Marriott in gorgeous Grand Rapids, Michigan. And oopsie daisy, I didn't have headphones, and I also brought my bad mic, so it's probably good that we didn't record.
No worries, we're here, we've got all the right equipment, you're home, and we are going to talk about some amazing adventures of the Beast, Mr. Hank McCoy himself.
Everyone loves the Hank McCoy. He's a terrific athlete.
Star of the football team, Hank McCoy.
He's the Homestar hero, that Hank McCoy.
Very ethical, never does anything wrong.
Not a single genocide, that boy. It's good for him. No, we're specifically talking about 1970s Beast stories.
Yeah.
And even more specifically, 1970s Beast stories that Steve Engelhardt used to string along specific continuity beats of his.
Oh, big time. Yeah. And this is the first real appearance of who will become blue, but is at the beginning here gray, the gray furry Beast.
So what's weird about Beast, and the fact that Beast is drawn blue, is a very specific comics coloring problem up until the mid to late 80s. They were finally able to more or less overcome this. But he's described in the first story that we are going to talk about, which is Amazing Adventures 1 through 6 or 11 through 16. We're not counting 17, even though it's technically part of the Beast run on the title, because it's a reprint of parts of his origin with the Conquistador. Yeah. And that's from the Silver Age. We'll get to that. We may have already covered the Conquistador stuff. I forget. Who can?
I don't think
say?
We have, but
it's not like we write any of this down.
There's no spreadsheet anywhere.
Nope. What was I saying? Oh yeah, he's described in the later issues of that run as being like black fur all over him.
Right.
And it's blue.
Mm-hmm.
Because for people who don't know, in comics coloring, especially, in the 60s, 70s, 50s, all then, what they would do to show like a lot of spot black and still have some contrast and stuff were to actually highlight it with like a navy blue. But because they only had limited colors, it was the same navy blue they used for things that were navy blue. And
right. So they just look blue.
So Beast is blue, and then some characters end up just looking like they have blue hair.
Right. Nothing wrong with that. It's, that's just how it happened.
I mean, that's the same thing with Nightcrawler. He wasn't supposed to be like all blue, I don't think.
I don't think so either, but that's kind of just how things went. The fuzzy elf just turned to be blue. That's why they're all blue. Everybody's blue. So who requested this, Zach? Because this is a very specific era that we are looking at today.
Yeah, this episode was requested by Patreon supporter Brad Moreland. Brad Moreland went over to patreon.com/comicsxf, dug deep into his heart and his pocketbook, and threw a couple of coins in our coffers. And that money goes directly to our fantastic contributors on the site, comicsxf.com. Keeps the show running, keeps the website running. And Brad was at a level that he could request a episode. And he requested Incredible Hulk 161, which we'll get to. It's actually a sequel follow-up to this, while also being a DC Comics crossover. We'll get to that part.
Lots of things happening. But we're gonna go chronologically today and start with Amazing Adventures 11 to 16, mainly by Steve Engelhardt and Tom Sutton. But the first issue is written by Jerry Conway, and 16 is drawn by Bob Brown and Marie Severin. So this is an interesting run.
It's interesting. I'm not sure I'd call it good. So let's paint a word picture. It's 1972.
Okay. Yeah.
The X-Men's book was canceled in 1970 with issue 66.
Yep.
Because of how comics sales worked at the time, being largely concentrated on newsstands, newsstand circulation numbers did not get back around for multiple months. We're talking like 6-8 months-ish. Which meant by the time that Ward Thomas and I want to call him Neil Young, but I know that's not his name. He's the one who thinks the Earth's flat. No, Neil Adams doesn't think the Earth's flat. Neil Adams thinks that the Earth is hollow, a la Godzilla and the MonsterVerse.
Really? Is that true?
Do you not?
Wow.
Neil Adams is an absolute wild man. Does believe the Earth is hollow.
Love it.
Thinks the science supports it, and he will talk about it a lot.
Okay. Remind me to talk to him at the next convention.
If you can get past his giant bunker of a booth that he has at every convention, then go for it.
Amazing what he surrounds himself with. I'm sorry. All right. So you were saying the story is that the book wasn't actually selling that poorly, but they didn't know it, right?
They didn't.
Yeah.
Because Neil Adams was Neil Adams and was a great artist, and that was bringing a lot of excitement. And frankly, those stories are a step above what they were previously putting out.
Oh,
regardless, the book was still canceled, and Marvel said it was fine. We'll suffer that. But they wanted to do some stuff with the characters because they still liked the characters. So they picked Beast to do something with here in this era, and said, let's give him a solo in Amazing Adventures, a book that for the last 10 issues had been a split title between the Inhumans and Marvel's The Black Widow, a character who is dead in their movie universe, but they did give a new movie to that is out as of the recording today, and I have not watched it on the Disney Plus.
I am going on Sunday, so I can report
You're
back.
going to a real movie theater? Adam, you know they make you wear pants in there.
I know, but you know,
they don't give you the pause button.
I already warmed up with F9, so I'll go back.
Insanity.
Not as insane as the decision to kind of Jekyll Hyde, Frankenstein, Wolfman up Hank McCoy here into a gray, hulking, hairy monster.
Yeah. I kind of like the original Beast look. I like it better than Cat Beast, and I like it. I think the Bendis, I say Bendis, but Stuart Immonen did the design of the Stuart Immonen.
I don't like
current. I think that one's a better look than Cat Beast. Like I liked stories that Cat Beast is in, and I think Frank Quitely draws a good Cat Beast. I prefer OG Beast, though I do understand why they have changed him up, because his silhouette is also the same silhouette as the Wolverine.
Yeah, if we look at him right on in the start here, he's kind of got a different haircut. Like, it's basically starting at a unibrow and then rising up into peaks, almost like Batman. You know, like the peaks are not off to the side. But obviously over time those peaks kind of spread out, and his widow's peak kind of elevated above his forehead, so that he became more like the animated series Beast that everybody remembers from the 90s. But
the good Beast.
Yeah, this original version is pretty monstrous, which is the intention. He's supposed to be a little scary. He's supposed to be this confused person. And to make it even more kind of like body horror-ish, to disguise himself because he realizes he can't transform himself back, he's basically wearing like a rubber person suit over the fur, which is really creepy.
So the book does some weird things. Beast gets a job is what happens, and it's at the Brand Corporation, where Artie's dad works. We don't know Artie yet, but Artie's dad, Carl Maddox, works there. And there's some spy stuff going on with the Secret Empire, the resolution of which we have discussed back in the good Secret Empire book.
It is kind of wild going back to this and going, wait a minute, is that Richard Nixon? Because you do get some of the numbered hooded people in this.
Yeah, the Secret Empire. What you will learn, and we will discuss in this episode, is that Steve Engelhardt loves continuity so much, and he does end up telling this story strewn between like 5 different books for no other reason than he just couldn't fit it in to one. Like a lot of them just got canceled. He got taken off, and he's like, "Well, I'll move this one over. I'll move it over. We'll keep on stringing this." And then he did Captain America. Yep. Steve Englehart's not my favorite writer on these titles. I'm just going to be very honest. A lot of people love him.
Highs and lows, and we'll get to some of the different things. But I think when I started reading this, I was like, "Oh God, this guy." This version of Hank McCoy seems very unlikable, blah, blah, blah. But, I do think it's kind of a clever twist on him. He is supposed to be this super smart scientist. He is already showing off his ethical dubiousness by experimenting on himself, transforming himself into the Beast. And it makes sense.
He had no other choice, Adam. He had no other choice.
Right, he couldn't wait for test subjects or anything,
He couldn't wait for anything else as a superhero to stop the spy crimes that he was seeing than to ingest a mysterious werewolf potion that did have werewolf powers, because it was like, well, if I take the antidote in 30 minutes, the effects will only be temporary. And then they weren't temporary. And then back to your point that we got distracted from, he then makes a rubber person suit to live in.
Yeah,
so that
but it's just gloves. It's just gloves and a mask. And people are fooled by
and
this.
A binder, like for his back.
Yep.
Which, in a very funny scene, he eventually finds Angel, and he's complaining about it, and Angel just kind of like dead eye stares at him like, "Hank, you saw me dress so many times. You watched me disrobe and robe myself so much. You've seen my wing binders."
Yep. So I think that these issues, if they were just about the Beast, probably wouldn't fly. I don't think I'd be as interested. But I will say what I enjoyed about these is the rotating cast of antagonists that are in here. So not only does the Beast get to fight Iron Man.
Classic X-Men villain Iron Man.
He also gets to fight Mastermind and our buddies Blob and Unis the Untouchable, which I thought was very enjoyable.
Did Steve Engelhardt do that Marvel Fanfare one where they were best buddies?
I don't know. We have to go back and check that out, because that kind of reminded me of that. He gets to fight Quasimodo, the quasi-motivational destruct organ. Just like, wow, that is just a really bizarre villain. The
it's
Griffin,
a good name, though.
And then we get a really great Juggernaut at the end. So the villains in these are more fun than sort of the ongoing adventures of Hank and whether Linda, the super secret spy who's attached to the secret empire, is going to, take him out or whatever. That's not as interesting to me. But I love all these antagonists.
What's interesting is in the Juggernaut thing. So eventually, Beast has to run away from his job, and there's spy stuff that he deals with. It's not an interesting plot. I'm going to be honest. It's Secret Empire spy stuff. Everyone's out to kill everybody. Anyway, he eventually finds Vera, his girlfriend from the Silver Age, and she tells him about this guy that she needs help. She needs him to help.
Right. End of the world stuff.
So they go on a road trip that Juggernaut gets in the way of. Also on this road trip are
quite a guest spot here of some Marvel staffers.
Yeah, Len Wein, Glennis Wein, Jerry Conway, Steve Engelhardt. They're all there. Roy Thomas is around. Roy Thomas is mentioned as his then wife Jean. And they are going on a Halloween road trip that they had been going up to Vermont because there was I'm trying to hold on because I have to get this right. Yeah, they are going to the Rutland Halloween Parade in Rutland, Vermont. That since the 1960s has had a giant superhero theme. Started by a guy named Tom Fagan up there, who is also in the issue. Bunch of people dressing up like superheroes, walking around, and in fact,
who's also in the issue.
This is something that crosses over into other comics like Batman and Justice League and Dr. Spectre from Gold Key Comics. Like this is a thing. So all of these guys going on the road trip, it all ties around together. Not in this one. This is the second road trip they did, but back in Avengers 83 is the first one they did, and that goes into Batman, which goes into Thor, and it's a whole fun little crossover thing that they've done.
I think it's great. That's probably my favorite of the issues. It also got me to go back and dig through the past Juggernaut stories, starting with Silver Age X-Men 33 and 34, I think. Where Juggernaut accidentally gets knocked into like a mystical dimension and then fights.
Oh, you're talking about where he fights Eternity?
Right. Yeah, because there's a Doctor Strange story in there. So when we see
there's a Doctor Strange story where he literally fights the concept of everything.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, let's do this. I'm Juggernaut. I'm the Juggernaut. Let's do it. Love it.
Yeah. So
also, I need to make a correction to myself from 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
This book does immediately fall into, if you want to follow the Marvel and DC staffers who are on this road trip, just pick up Justice League of America.
Oh.
It's in that one.
Cool.
It deals with the fact that somebody stole a car from... Is it Steve Engelhardt's car, or is it Len Wein's car?
There's so many of them. Like, I had to look up who all was here because I'm like, oh, I recognize all these first names, but then I had to go back and check it out. So Juggernaut is kind of portaling in and out. At one point, he gets like aged into a grandpa, and I don't know. I think there's a real mixed bag here. You know what I mean? Like, you're going back, you're definitely looking at something that is very influenced by horror comics. The sci-fi parts of it are just kind of like whatever. You know, I'm not really super interested in Beast's drama here, but I think it's worth it to tune in for some of the rogues gallery that shows up here. There's just some. It's random and fun.
The Griffin one's worth reading for the angel parts.
Yeah,
the parts where the Quasimodo issue you can skip. The parts where it's the Brotherhood, that's fun.
That's fun.
And then, really, it's just the weird old 70s X-Men is canceled Brotherhood is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And then otherwise, the Juggernaut issue is probably the best one.
Yeah, I would agree.
It ends on a good note, but it does end on a cliffhanger because Beast and Vera do not save the world.
No, and it's unclear even what Vera's talking about. So that'll be continued in just a moment after we rank this on our big old list.
Yeah, that's right. We do have a big old list, don't we, Adam? Mm-hmm. How many stories do you think are on this list? Venture a guess.
Boy, we got 525. Wow. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, bud, we were on the road to 500 not that long ago. Don't you remember?
We're moving to 6
No, we've
here.
got 525 stories on this list. The number one story on the list is House of X Powers 10. Number 100 is the Messiah War. Number 200 is the X-Force Road Trip. Number 300 is Generation Hope. Oh, no, it's not. It's Uncanny X-Men Annual 1995, where one of the Guthries does a cult. Number 400 is NYX No Way Home. Number 500 is the X-Men Animation Special. And 525 is the Draco. I'm gonna say something that I think is very easy to believe.
Okay.
Road Trip's better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I think that annual where the Guthrie does a cult is better.
Yeah. I'm actually looking lower on the list. Down at 378, we have the first appearance of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
That one's better.
I think that's
a Jack
better.
Kirby comic.
Yeah. I think we're starting to get into the right area here. I do think that there is a little bit of fun to be had with these. Like, I don't think we're as dull as, like, at 406 is the Uncanny X-Men Annual 8, where nothing happens. You know? Like, you just highlighted
Here,
388, the Dazzler arc, where she becomes the Herald of Galactus.
The Herald of Galactus.
Like,
yes.
We're kind of in the same realm there, you know?
We are exactly in that realm, because at 388 is a Dazzler Herald of Galactus. At 397 is Dazzler versus the X-Men. We are right in there. This is probably not as good as the Leprechaun murder mystery from Uncanny X-Men First Class number 8 at 390.
No, but I think it's probably better than right below that is the Five Lights story, Uncanny 526 to 527. Or 529?
It's like right there, and I don't want to think about the Five Lights more than I have to. That's got some unfortunate art.
Yeah. All right.
Art's good in this one. Well, okay, I don't care about the Tom Sutton art. It's very house style. Last issue's got Marie Severin doing character work, and I like that.
Yeah. I like the art pretty much throughout. But we got to continue this story. And as you said, Engelhardt just continues to hop. And he ends up on Incredible Hulk. And we get to learn what the Beast and Vera were going after. So what issue is this, Zach?
It's Incredible Hulk 161. And Engelhardt had been doing the book with Herb Trimpe for a little bit now. And, this is just Amazing Adventures 17, which would have been the next issue, which is the reprint, actually is published in March of 1973. And what Engelhardt does is just say, well, screw you, I'm going to write the rest of this story in my Hulk. And
it's exactly what he does.
That comes out March. It comes out March of 1973. Now, if you were reading Hulk, you would have no idea what this storyline is. If you were reading Amazing Adventures, you'd have no idea where to follow this storyline. And yet, Steve Engelhardt just kind of kept on trucking.
Yeah, there's a real lack of editor's notes here. Like, you'd expect a little asterisk somewhere to tell you, hey, go check out these issues. No, nothing like that. We start just like right in the middle of the Hulk, getting into it and mixing it up with a bunch of Royal Mounted Canadian Police, which is kind of funny. Like, he's just like, they're so pissed off that the Hulk is there, and he's just like throwing trees at them, and it's kind of funny.
So I'm on the Marvel Wikia because that has the creative teams. as I am wont to do.
Yeah.
It has a whole section called chronology notes, which they don't have on any other issue on here. But it tells you what pages chronologically happen when, so that everything can actually follow within comic book stories.
Yeah, that's weird.
And I don't understand why they would do this.
That is very
except
strange.
Except for the fact that Steve Engelhardt is just going nuts on this one.
Well, it seems like
Hulk
a lot of this
loses
is also
powers here.
Yeah, I feel like
Go ahead.
A huge part of this weird description of the issue that I'm looking at, as you are, is about how Hank sneaks Vera into Canada by basically like knocking her unconscious and throwing her over his shoulder as the Beast, and then jumping across the border and putting his like Hank suit back on. It's really creepy. And she's just like, yeah, that's cool. Why was I unconscious? Oh, it's okay.
Well, because Vera wanted to help her new boyfriend, who we know.
Yeah.
That is, of course, Calvin Rankin, the Mimic. Hey, Mimic sucks. I don't know why Steve Engelhardt wanted to bring him back. Silver Age Mimic is the worst, and not in a fun way, in a I hate this dude kind of way.
Well, his powers are getting out of control to the point where he is going to destroy the world, apparently.
He's going to absorb everyone?
I guess. I mean, we've seen, I think you mentioned the Beast's powers are like lessening as he gets closer, but like, I don't know.
So's the Hulk's.
Yeah, the Hulk is like, whoa, why can't I do stuff?
That was the weirdest Hulk voice I've ever heard, Adam. Is that what you think the Incredible Hulk sounds like? The big green monster man? You think he sounds something like this?
Oh, you can't make me laugh like that.
Editor Adam is going to have fun with this one. I'm sorry. So, regardless of your bad Hulk impression, the Hulk feels bad. They do a fight, but long story short, Mimic realizes that he has to sacrifice himself and die so that he doesn't destroy the world or whatever. And he absorbs properties of the Hulk's gamma radiation so that he cancers himself to death.
Right. And it does appear that the Mimic is dead at the end of this issue. But I don't think we see him again until Secret Empire and we see this sort of mutant machine, right? Because he's in that.
No, Mimic's not in that, is he?
I thought he was one of the mutants that appears in the sort of like Havoc Polaris 05 mutant machine. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, he is not.
Okay.
He dies. The next time he comes back, 1990.
Wow.
Marvel Comics presents 56.
Huh.
In a beautiful retcon, Wolverine was happening to walk by because Canada's a very small place, and mimicked his healing powers and didn't die.
Oh, that's great. That's smart retcon. I like that quite a bit.
Is it good? No, I don't think Michael Higgins wrote a good thing there. Is it very funny in retrospect?
Yes.
Yeah, I like to think it is.
Yeah, I think this issue
in that issue, a Len Wein story about Stingray, the Avenger. I don't know why.
Looks like there's some Steve Ditko stuff in there too. Weird.
Yeah, because it's the early 90s and Steve Ditko's back at Marvel for some reason.
Oh,
Steve
weird.
Ditko draws part of Nascenti's Daredevil, bud.
Oh, that's true. Now I remember that. Yeah. Oh, so weird. So, it's such a strange issue because it is a continuation of the Amazing Adventures stuff, and yet it's just kind of like thrown into an issue of the Hulk. So the Hulk is just sort of walking around and this stuff happens and then he walks away and that's about it.
Which is a very Hulk thing to do.
Yeah,
that's 70s Hulk.
Yeah. But it's I wouldn't call it interesting. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't burning to know what happened, why Vera needed the Beast to save the world. I wasn't too excited about that. So I don't think this is as interesting as those Amazing Adventures issues.
No, I don't think it's good at all. Also, Vera's next appearance. Wait, does Vera appear in X Factor? Or is that Zelda that appears?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think...
Because one of them becomes a hippie.
I don't think Vera is in X Factor.
See, this is what Steve Engelhardt wanted. Steve Engelhardt wanted, 50 years later, two weird nerds trying to argue when the next time...
It's X Factor 2 and 3.
Yeah, Vera is in X Factor 2 and 3. Yeah, you're right.
Becomes a political
Was Vera
activist.
the librarian? That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, no, Zelda comes back in X Factor, the Mesmero issue.
There it is.
Who cares? That one has a good Mike Mignola cover, though.
That is true. But we're
anyway.
We're
not talking about any of that.
Are really not super exciting here.
They aren't. This issue's not super exciting, right? It's
very dull.
It's weird. It's weird how much this was obviously a linchpin for Michael Higgins, I guess, and then also Steve Engelhardt.
Yeah, but nobody else.
Yeah, but nobody else. It's a bad story. It's not very good. It's a weird artifact that's really only interesting if you know so much inside baseball on it.
Yeah, I would agree. If you're tracking the chronology of these characters, then you got to know it. But I'm looking down at 445. We've got the first appearance of the Blob, X-Men 3.
That one's better. They fight a circus.
Yes, absolutely.
It's probably not as good as X-Men Unlimited 37, which is that one that has all of the multiverse stuff crashing into each other, and it doesn't make much sense, but it's kind of neat to look at.
I would agree. I also, right around that are the Star Trek X-Men's, and I think those are at least more interesting. Okay. So you just highlighted Quest Probe down at 453.
I think Quest Probe is better. The Marvel Fanfare 33.
Yeah, I would say and right below that's the first 6 issues of Emma Frost. I think that's more interesting. Here we go.
Okay.
All right. 460.
I think this is the spot.
Yeah.
460 is X-Men The Hidden Years 6 and 7. That's when John Byrne decides to tell everyone about the time that Storm met the X-Men before Storm was on the X-Men.
So stupid. Stupid.
Listen, it's the kind of story that I understand the impetus to want to tell.
Yeah.
But it's also the kind of story that you should absolutely not tell because it will be nothing but cheesy, Jonathan.
But this is better than at 462, Captain Marvel 2 and 3, which was Fabe's attempt to resolve the Adam X origin years ago. How do you feel about it next to 461, which is X-Men Volume 2, 100 to 102 Revolutions?
You talking about the stuff with the Neo?
Yeah.
I think it's probably better than that, exactly on par with Hidden Years. I think it's worse than Wolverine 49 Better to Give, which is a Christmas episode of Wolverine.
Yeah, I'm going to give the advantage to this over Hidden Years because I just don't like Hidden Years. So this is our new 460?
Listen, I'm not against attacking John Byrne for absolutely no reason.
There's always
it's fine.
A reason.
Listen.
It's not for no reason.
Here's the thing. John Byrne did draw the most important of those X-Men stories in the Chris Claremont run. I think the number of movies based on them is a pretty fair indicator of that. I don't think John Byrne's the best artist on the Claremont run. And in fact, I think John Byrne might be the worst consistent artist they have. Because I kind of like Cockrum more than Byrne.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
I like Paul Smith better. I like JRJR better. I like Silvestri better. I like Jim Lee better.
I'm telling you, we really should do like a draft. You know, we've been talking about that on a past episode, and we should do something like that with like the artists or the writers or the characters. We could have a couple themed episodes. I think that would be fun.
Have a draft just to see how poorly John Byrne would do. I think that would be fun.
There you go.
I don't think the Byrne Robotics team would love that.
No.
But I don't care.
No, I don't either. All right,
Man,
so
there's going to be people who don't know why we hate John Byrne, and that's going to be fun for them to find out.
Yeah, it's not going to be fun when they look
He's just
that
a
up.
douche.
Yeah, not a great guy.
That's it.
Bad at humaning.
We should talk about Avengers, right?
Well, yeah. So Engelhardt ends up on the Avengers with George Tuska on art, and this is issues 137 and 138. I think we were going to do 136, but that again is a reprint of one of the Amazing Adventures issues for some reason.
Yeah, it's a reprint of Amazing Adventures 12.
I don't know why.
I am gonna just venture a guess that Steve Engelhardt got busy that month. Well, at the same time as Giant Size Avengers number 4, which is the wedding of Vision and Scarlet Witch. So maybe they were looking at it and saying, "Hey, let's make the real story of this month be the big important one." Also, the wedding of Mantis and the thing that was Swordsman.
Right. Yeah. And where we're picking up here is kind of like all of those characters are on their honeymoon, and they've left the Avengers basically hanging out with Moondragon and Agatha Harkness. So they don't really have a roster right now. And Black Panther is basically like, yo, peace out. I'm outie. So
He's busy.
he's
Black Panther
understandably
runs a
busy.
country. He's got a great excuse. But yeah, they need to find new Avengers. Thor is the Avengers chairman right now. And the thing about Thor is that he's terrible at planning things.
Yeah. And there is a really fun sequence here where they're calling everybody. Like, hey, Captain America.
Literally everyone who has been an Avenger.
And they're
they
all
call
busy.
them, with the exception of Hulk, because they were like, yeah, he was an Avenger for a couple of issues. Like 2, right?
Like, we remember him being a Hulk, being an Avenger. The dialogue here, though, very, very bonkers. Like, Engelhardt is writing flowery prose and dialogue here that is just so strange, especially because he's writing Thor. My goodness. Can I just read, like, one panel of this? This is actually Black Panther talking to Thor. Thor,
I wish you would.
The fine fool's gold of stark velvet morning seems to light the mottled tapestry of desire and disaster that comprises the legend of life for my people and myself. In this hidden, half-slumbering nation-state, we proudly proclaim Wakanda. That kind of sort of flowery language goes throughout these entire 2 issues, and it's a lot. It's not what you read in the other issues we were just talking about, and the way he writes Thor is like wild.
The way he writes everything is absolutely buck wild. I like. Here's the quote. Here's the quote from the Marvel Wikia. It says, from Hawkeye, married. Mantis I was expecting, though an intelligent tree for a groom came out of left field, but Wanda and Vision took me completely by surprise. That synthezoid's sly, boy! Do people talk like this?
It's this sort of like a slang, but also like poetry, and it's very, very odd. And like I said, it's nothing like the dialogue that we were getting in the other stories that we were talking about today. Now, for our purposes,
it's like he's never talked to another human.
It feels like that. It really does. Now, for our purposes, because they are missing members, one of the people that does show up is the Beast, who becomes a new member of the Avengers. As does the absolutely awful Hank Pym, who is now Yellow Jacket. And he is just a royal jerk here. No fun at all.
I mean, listen, he's going to get worse pretty soon.
Yeah.
Also, Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp, rejoins the team.
Yep.
So you get that. You get Moondragon and Beast and the Avengers.
Mm-hmm. But they got to fight somebody, Zach. So who are they going to fight?
Okay, I'm giving Steve Engelhardt a lot of crap for his continuity fix-em-ups.
Okay.
He got me.
Yep.
He got me on this one. Because they fight the Stranger. You remember the Stranger, don't you, Adam?
I
Jack
do.
Kirby's The Stranger.
Yep.
Classic X-Men villain.
Yep. Pointy mustache. Alien from another world. And the Stranger
was the last known owner of Krakoa.
Yes. And the Stranger is attacking. He's self-duplicating. But every time it happens, the Avengers are kind of noticing that something is a little bit off. And the way this resolves is kind of funny. It's actually really funny. Because it's not the Stranger.
I lost it. It's Toad?
Right.
It's Toad who stole... So during the Silver Age, Magneto and Toad got sucked up by the Stranger onto his spaceship. And Magneto eventually escapes. But because he's Silver Age Magneto, who is the worst, he leaves Toad there.
Right.
And Toad's pretty mad about that. And he's pretty mad about how Magneto has treated him for the last 12 years. And he's pretty mad that Scarlet Witch also treated him bad for the, 4 issues they were around together for. So he just wants revenge on kind of everybody. And there's part of me that's like, Mortimer, I understand where you're coming from.
Right. Good
just
for
because
you.
Listen, there's 2 things here that Mortimer is doing. One of them, getting revenge on a guy who was very mean to him. I can appreciate that. The other one is doing an incel thing where he's getting revenge on a lady who wouldn't go out with him.
Yeah, that part's not as great.
Worse. That's not as great. Oddly in character for Toad. And I don't like that that's a persistent part of his character. We could just ignore it.
The part where he's just sort of the picked-on geek who's trying to get back on people by pretending to be the big scary alien. It is kind of funny. Also extremely amusing.
It got me.
Yeah. Also extremely amusing is the way in which Beast actually defeats the Toad, which is, if you go back to the first issue, the Beast introduces himself as sort of like a master of disguise by entering Avengers Mansion as he's disguised himself as Edward G. Robinson, the famous actor from Little Caesar and Key Largo. And that is how he tricks the Toad and gets the Toad to stand down, is by pretending to be Edward G. Robinson from these classic movies. It's such a weird thing, to pick a 30s and 40s movie star to trick a Silver Age villain in a 70s comic to not be the Stranger. It's so weird.
It absolutely is. Hey, quick question for you, Adam.
Yeah.
How long do you think Beast and Moondragon were not actually Avengers, but were instead Avengers applicants?
Oh God. I don't even know. How would that even work? Is there a grace period before they get to be full-fledged members?
Yes.
Oh.
There absolutely is.
Okay.
And it keeps going, and it keeps going, and right now I am at 145, and they still have not joined the team.
Wow.
I think Moondragon is actually... No, she's still around. 148. 140... Oh my gosh, this... When do they join the Ding Dang team?
So maybe they never do? Maybe they're always just...
Well, Hellcat also becomes an applicant. You would think 150, they would be like, hey, guys should probably... Yeah, okay. 151, they officially join. Well, Beast officially joins.
Good lord. That's quite a few issues.
And I don't believe... Yeah, bud.
They really make him wait after all those adventures. That's crazy.
And then his first fight is against Black Talon, who is he's a voodoo priest, and boy oh boy is his costume hella racist.
Great.
Listen. I just don't think Steve Engelhardt should be doing any voodoo stories. I feel like that would be a mistake.
Yeah, probably. This is a very strange story. I do not recommend it. I mean, the toad aspect of it is probably the only thing that will give you a little bit of like glee. But the rest of it is very difficult.
But we just spoiled it.
We did.
It's only good because it's a twist.
Yeah. And I gotta say, just reading it is not fun. I do not like the sort
I don't think I like 1970s comics.
You know, I don't hate the general aesthetics, the style, anything along those lines. But the way in which Engelhardt is, especially doubling down with the dialogue here, I can't get into it. So, all right, not great.
Where do you want this continuity fix to go?
I think I enjoyed...
I still think I liked it better than Incredible Hulk.
Well, there's at least more happening, right? But it's not much better. You know what I mean? Like, I still don't think it's as good as, like, the first appearance of the Blob at 445, you know?
That's probably true.
Yeah. Like, I'd rather an attacking giraffe.
It's not better than Iceman Volume 1.
No, it's not.
I would not say it's better than X-Man 67 to 70, the Infinitives of Evil at 455. But I would say probably better than Knights of Terra at 456.
That is a great place for it. I would agree. So this will be our new 456?
It is, and forever will be. Or probably next week we'll change it.
So there you have it, folks. 3 early appearances of our bouncing blue, or I guess gray, blue. They couldn't figure it out. Hank
He's
McCoy.
blue. Let's call him the Blue Beast.
Yes. So I feel like this was less of a Hank McCoy episode and much more of a Steve Engelhardt episode, but we really did see some of his idiosyncrasies on display.
Hank was the star on each of those issues.
Yeah.
We could not have made it more of a... It's a joint Steve Engelhardt Beast one.
That's true.
And just like Beast and Steve Engelhardt, they both enjoyed joints. So it's perfect that they are jointed here. And we want to thank Brad Moreland again for jumping on the Patreon and suggesting this episode. We had fun doing it. This was a great way to decompress after, frankly, I had a long week. And it's fun. If you want to be like Brad again, go over to Patreon. Throw a couple of coins at your Witchers here, O Valley of Plenty. Is that still a topical reference? I don't think so.
Witcher? They did just announce a second season. I think the trailer came out today. So yes.
Man, I did not. I've not watched any of The Witcher.
I don't know anything about it. So what you just said sounded like nonsense to me. But
I know there's a boy that follows him singing songs that he's like, toss your coin to the Witcher, O Valley of Plenty. Like he's a Jack Black or something. So
I'll take your word for it.
Anyway, that's Patreon. Adam, what do you got going on, buddy?
Guys, you can always follow me on Twitter at Arthur Stacy. And Zach, what do we got cooking for next week?
Next week, we're going to go fast. 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 And we're going to do stories about people go fast.
Pew, pew.
Pew. Pew, pew, pew. Literally, it's all speedsters all the time. And
Cool.
It's going to be a fun one.
All right.
But until then, folks, This has been Battle of the Atom, and we hope you survive the experience.
Get it!